Now, so much to do, so little time. Uh, we got individuals who are going to be enrolling into our Syntax Trust Mastery class. And the one that's being done today is going to kind of be a premiere or a precursor to what will happen after the master class has been implemented. I have 12 platforms and everybody's waiting on everybody. And what I mean by that is the other 12 platforms are waiting for the new students, the new enrollees to basically step into this banking in the box platform. But there's a lot of things that a lot of individuals like yourself may not be aware of. So what I will attempt to do in this course of study, and this course of study is not really intense in my opinion, but it may be for some, you know, in a lesser space. We seek to provide you with kind of a roadmap. So here's what I will do. Um, if there's anyone in this particular course or class that presently does not have access to a machine such as a laptop or a desktop where you are presently using the chat GPT prompt, then just, if you can see my screen, which I'll be sharing it, I want you to just jot your questions down. I'm going to come from a perspective that I am engaging with you and you have access to a chat GPT while I'm explaining this to you. And for those that are in our Diversity Trust Limited Bitrix space, this video and audio is being recorded, so you guys already have access to such a platform, so this information should really gain momentum with you. Information has been gathered for the last 15 years, and if we've, quote unquote, and I say if you have been utilizing the internet for the last 10 to 15 years, you have played a major part in partitioning metadata in various different spaces and platforms. And let's just say the metadata that you have created is what's being used to preserve your health, wealth, and integrity. So the data that you have been dealing with for the last 10 years, dealing with the internet, has molded and shaped the health, wealth, and integrity of you and your family. Criminal records, that's part of the integrity. Having gout, bad teeth, high sugar, diabetes, high blood pressure, that deals with health. Wealth, if you live in a certain geological location with a certain educational level and you have a certain demographic and or ethnicity, that's being tracked. So you have a data system that deals with metadata that has articulated and has documented your wealth, health, and integrity. In this course of study, we will provide you with keys to health, wealth, and integrity. This course of study is not to tell you how to think. If you are a person that has to be told what to think, I would say that you may want to study a little bit more deeper, because we are only providing you keys and fundamentals. No one, in my opinion, on earth has the answer to all the unlimited potential possibilities and processes that can be used to perfect your health, wealth, and integrity. I am only going to reveal what I've already revealed. I'm not bringing anything new. It just sounds like it's new because we have new and intriguing and inventive ways to say what we need to say repetitively with a different flavor. For example, this audio and video that's being recorded in real time is being actually transcribed by AI technology. Now, the words that I'm saying is not what AI is transcribing because it's pulling the asymmetric information from the words that I'm speaking and putting it into a text format. The AI technology can learn from the user. It wasn't designed to do what I'm telling it to do, but because your mind is the first type of computer. You know, the computer that they have now is an emulation of the human mind. And if you can think it, you can achieve it. If you can imagine it, you can create it. The problem is in the symmetric world, we no longer believe and have faith that we have the ability to create. So wealth, health, and integrity is always left up to someone else. Does anyone in the class have any idea how you can effectively alter, change, modify your health, wealth, and integrity in this modern day age? Is there anyone in the class that has an idea on how one could do such a thing? And if you do have a response, please press 9-4 on your keypad, therefore I can bring you in and we can definitely hear from you. In this present day construct, give me an example of what you can do to effectively change, alter, and modify the health, wealth, and integrity of oneself. Let me say it a different way. I might be a little too wordy. In this present day system, give me something that you could potentially do to increase your wealth. Does anybody have an idea on how you can increase your wealth? Okay, we got someone that's now bringing in. Okay. Brother Bay, if you can hear me, Sensei Bay, talk to me. Gotcha. So give me an example of how, if you was taking control of all three, how would you effectively change the status of your wealth? Okay. Okay. So when you say put it into trust, you would change it from one status to trust, but changing the status is not what you say, it's what you do that determines who you are. So what actions would you take? Okay. So, and I'm following where you're going, but I want to give you kind of also an alternate way of thinking about what you just said. Not to change what you're thinking, just give you another option. Let's say there's nothing wrong with the system. They didn't get it right, they didn't get it wrong. They simply chose. And there wasn't a right or wrong choice. They just chose. So if there's nothing, if we totally rid ourselves of emotion, that means there isn't no obstacle. They won't let me do something. Every time you wake up with an idea, you have a what? An opportunity. Everything that sets you back, turns you around, isn't a deterrent. It's an opportunity. The construct is rigged for opportunities for you to change your wealth, health, and integrity when your mind has changed. The first thing that's going to determine whether you do those things is your mind has to change. The body goes where the mind is. If you're saying out of your mouth, I'm going to change, and your mind is on cigarettes, weed, booze, women, gambling, selling dope, whatever it is, not saying they're bad or good, but that's where you're at, then if those behaviors are taking away from your health, wealth, and integrity, those behaviors have to change. So, information which has us tethered to this construct has to be utilized. Have you heard the saying, knowledge is power? Have you ever heard that we perish for the lack of knowledge? Have you ever heard these sayings before? Okay. Does that carry any weight in your construct? Okay. So the only one that could effectively make the change to your wealth, health, and integrity is you, and it's not about any outside influence. It's about what's going on inside. Would you agree? Beautiful, beautiful. I love your answer. So don't take what I'm saying. It's just I just want to give you an additional way of thinking, because I think with what we're dealing with, we can't come into this with a certain type of energy. And let me explain. 4+ years ago, I was with another class. Brother Corey, who I think he should be joining us shortly, was in that class. And a lot of young men and women, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to take on the world. They got their hands on this administrative process, and they want to go save the world, save their family, this, that, and the third. I made the fatal mistake of not giving these youngsters fundamental instructions. In my haste to help everyone, I kind of didn't listen to. It's like your your infant son says, "Dad, I see you got a shotgun in the closet. Can I play with it?" And I'm on the phone, so I was like, "Yeah, just get out of my face." It's sort of like I felt like that's what I did when the infant son goes in the closet and pulls out the shotgun. So this time around, I'm going to be very careful. I want you to think of Chat GPT and all things that fall into that environment as a tool. Not a replacement. Not something that's going to do it for you. That's not a slave. It's a tool. Okay? A tool that can be customized. Let's say you bought a hammer, but you could program that hammer to also act like a drill. It could also act like a magnet. It could also act like pliers. You have a tool that if you program it, it can be whatever you need it to be. It's just going to come in a form of a hammer. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. I think if you keep that energy, then this next 24 to 48 hours for some of you, because yes, in our implementation of this Trust Mastery class, the 3 initiates that will be in the class will, after the end of the course, will have a fully functioning banking platform with a live instrument of well over $10 million ready to use. You're only going to go as fast or as slow as you want to go. The tools are waiting for you to prompt them. Let's talk about just that aspect from an accounting perspective. Everyone who is listening to what we're discussing, is there anyone in the class who would like to give an answer to Name can someone give me an accounting concept that they've studied? I know there's over 11 important generally accepted accounting principles. Can somebody name one? Going concern. Okay, we got going concern. Does anyone else have another choice? We got going concern. Is there anyone else that want to, also add to that? Someone else give me an accounting concept. And if you need be, press 9-4 on your keypad. I will cue you in so we can definitely hear your answer. We have one answer of going concern. Can someone give me another um, type of accounting concept that's viewed as an important accounting concept under generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP? Okay. Accrue method. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. I'm see. I got someone else that want to chime in now. Brother Antoine, I think that's you, man. Talk to me. What's good? What's good? Everybody's beautiful. Entity concept. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, I got another gentleman, Mr. Son of Chief Bay. See if I can bring him on. Let's see. Let's see. He should be on. Let's see. Son of a Chief Bay, talk to me.
Well, well, I don't know. I'm guessing at this point, but I was going to say assets equal liability plus equity.
That's a that's a concept, but that's more of an accounting equation. So you would think about like double book entry, the entity concept, going concern. Those are what we consider accounting concepts. So, and again, I want you to jot this down if you're taking notes, because the type of accounting concept is going to determine how you move in this construct. Now, I'm going to give you a fundamental. Fundamentally, when you do an accounting ledger and you're dealing with an income statement, an income statement, this is a statement that represents all things that make up an entity or individual's income. But that word income has a very vast and very deep definition in the world of accounting. There is a lot of things that can be considered income if we can, and I'm going to give you the rule. Give me something that can be called income without you using the word cash. Give me an example of something that's considered income that's not cash. Okay. Accounts receivable. Okay. That's a good one. Someone give me another example of income. General intangible. Beautiful. Somebody else give me another example. Not cash, something that can be considered as income. And you can't use the word cash. Okay. You see how this how we're doing this around the room? The So credit and debits are actually tethered to words. There's certain words that will bring money, value to your coffer. There's certain words that you'll be given that'll take equity and value away. So it's learning those words of equity that warrant whether it's coming into your coffer or leaving your coffer. Think about this in the terms of polarity. You've heard the saying, opposites attract, correct? Think about accounting. Opposites attract. So if you got a credit that somebody gave you, then you're the opposite on somebody else's ledger. So if I gave you a credit, what does that mean on somebody else's book? That account can be debited. If I give Antoine a credit, Donnell can debit that account. Does that make sense to everybody that's here? Now, this is the connotative concept of accounting. The connotative concept of accounting. Those 11 generally accepted accounting principles lets you operate within that fundamental concept that if I, Bezel Bay, I received through a general intangible receivable a credit, and I gave, transferred, conveyed that credit to Antoine. I gave him a credit that Donnell can debit. Again, who does not understand what's being articulated? I, Bezel Bay, conveyed. I gifted. You see where I'm going with this? I held something in complete control, which I had personally divested myself of. It belongs to a trust. I divested myself of that asset and gave it to Antoine. Because Donnell needed a debit, Donnell needed credit. There was a credit on Antoine's book that was conveyed by me that he can now debit. How many parties are in that transaction? Bezel, Antoine, and Donnell. There were 3 parties in that transaction. If you're in a transaction and you don't have 3 parties, are you on the right side of this or are you the opposite? Opposites attract. When you have 3, you have the Holy Trinity, you have a tribunal, you are in honor. You have less than 3, you're doing something else. An individual who works a job, who gets his money and then gives it to someone else, is he in a 3-party arrangement or a 2-party arrangement in his thinking? Right. Let's be clear. The average consumer believes that the money that he was given by his job was money that floated by osmosis to the bank, gave up exchange for his fee. So his loyalty to the company, they were the root, they were the edimon, they were the seed, they were the proponent that is blessing his family. Listen to how I'm saying this. The debtor believes and has faith that his good deeds were rewarded by the sweat of his brow, which provided a livelihood for him and his family. I'm saying the same thing, just different ways. The debtor has faith that if he shows up on time, giving away his most valuable asset that you can't put a price on, he would take a percentage of that and be able to live and save and provide a livelihood for his family. It seems like that debtor and that consumer have a lot of faith and belief, but very little fruition. See, Asymmetric information teaches you that the company didn't pay you, you paid the company. You paid the company with your time. And in exchange, they gave you fiat, which wasn't quid pro quo, so they still owe. But they can only give you, form. They can't give you substance. You can't get substance from something that is not of substance. So they gave you the form that they could give you, which was the paper. You have to now get on your square and recoup your substance, your essence, aka your equity. Sovereignty can never stand when you are looking at a piece of paper thinking the paper gives you some sort of right. How many of you guys seen those old, my granddad used to call them shoot 'em up bang bangs, gun smoke, and, all those bonanza and all. You remember them shoot 'em up bang bangs? It's come on TV. How many of you guys remember ever seeing an old Western before?
I remember that.
Hey, right, there you go. Now, back in those days, this is what sovereignty looked like. You didn't need no judge, jury, and executioner if you mess with my land, my horse, or my woman. Those three things will get you dealt with, and God will sort it out. Now, they had a sheriff and a marshal. But every time I would see the sheriff and the marshal wander on somebody's land to issue a warrant or talk, an old cowboy come out in his overalls and with a shotgun drawn on him, and it's like, that's far enough, sheriff. You ain't got no permission being on my land. And he got a cop deuces. I just want to talk. Now, this is what sovereignty looks like. So, in your affairs, if you're not like the cowboy, who whenever somebody impedes upon their property without permission, you standing out there with a shotgun saying that's far enough, then what I'm about to tell you and what I'm about to show you for those of you that are going to be enrolled into the class, it's going to be game changing. For those of you that don't know it or you haven't been given the tools to fully exploit that. Let's say accounting gives you an AK-47 when everybody else is shooting with a 6-shooter. That changes the argument, doesn't it?
Ain't no argument.
Right. That's like, I don't care if you're the fastest gun in the West. I don't know if you can outdraw that machine gun. I think the AK, you ain't got to be that accurate either. Especially if you just move around. I'm just simply saying. That changes the whole algorithm. Well, ChatGPT has given all of you a cheat code and put you in God mode. And once you witness that it's really the wild, wild west in commerce, and you've been given this code that makes you invincible, even if you fall off the screen, you still can come back on and keep going. You're not going to lose a life. You're going to keep going. This is what's about to happen with this information. Now, some individuals are going to be in their own way, and I just know this by statistics. See, their debtor mind is going to want to take what they see in the asymmetric realm and apply it in the symmetric realm. What is the rule you guys have learned since dealing in these teachings and classes? What two things don't mix? So what gets you totally disqualified out the game? Okay, so if your mama want to commingle, your homeboy want to commingle, your girlfriend want to commingle, you still love them, but that's not what allowed on the board. And it's only to be, the only reason why commingling is even an option is because they don't have no new information. Follow me? Now, I ain't gonna say some folks just want to commingle. You know, you're gonna run into that too. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 99% of the people you're gonna try to help that will come with commingling. That's all they know. If there's a better way where they don't have to commingle, they won't. Here's another rule: the public and private don't mix, and anyone who's caught mixing it is expendable. Does everybody get that? The way this game is set up, the public and private don't mix, and if you caught mixing it, you're now expendable. Who doesn't understand that? Okay. Mixing is sort of like false claiming. You know, if you wear a certain color, you know, it's certain streets and certain side of town you ain't got no business being on. You get caught over there and you trying to pretend to be one of them, and they're like, no, nigga. That's one example. I'll give you a different one. It looks like this. Every policy enforcer that calls him or herself a police officer, if you are in a commercial zone and you don't have at least the proper commerce tax on your person, where if they come and pull you over and ask for your papers, you can't pay the tax, you got no business out there because you're commingling. See, the commercial zone is for commercial activity, and if you caught out there, it's commerce. When you go to court after they pull you into jail, your first appearance was on the highway. When you go see the judge, that's your first appeal. That's why you got nothing coming when you say it ain't your dope and the bill too high. And I wasn't going that fast. They have no room in the commercial zone. This is why when you're traveling, it'll say you're now in the town of, the city incorporated of. You get all the road signs of where you at and where you left. And the rules change just like this. Every city, the census report placed every city. If you're in the city limits, you're underwater. The paperwork says that if you live in the city limits of a town, you're underwater. And when you're underwater, you're governed by the what? Admiralty Maritime. A lot of folks don't understand that. Oh, it's racist. It's this. He don't like me. No, it's commerce. Now again, the general population probably don't know that. Some of you guys in this class, probably the first time you heard of that. But the rest of the world knows that. So when they catch you commingling, Because see, a lot of folks are underwater talking about the law of the land and they got this and they're a man of the land, and how can you? Now if you're operating in trust, you're on top of the water. You're sailing. You're moving. Commerce is happening. Matter of fact, if you live in a state where there's water, that means commerce is designed to flow through you to the other states that don't have water. Oh, I'm finna get deep for a second. If you got an EIN number and you're in Georgia and you're not doing business in Tennessee and all these states that don't have no ports, you're commingling. You're going against the grain. You don't even understand what commerce really is about. Every state that is surrounded, that has water, this is the initial gate of commerce, because all things in commerce come by sea. And doo-doo rolls downhill, not uphill. When it hits the port, you're at the top of the mountain when it comes to commerce. And every state that don't have no water, you're supposed to be selling it to the other state. If the other state needs whatever it is that you got a mandate, you got a treaty, you got policy. And when you go do something else outside of policy, those policy enforcers are all over you because you don't get it. You know what you're doing? You set up shop to sell to your people that are right around the corner, right? Commerce ain't bad or good, it just is. Listen to what you're saying now. You ain't going to sell your fish sandwiches to another person in another town, and then when you get a contract with them, then your excess, that's how you set your store up. You do business with everybody all over that's not in your town. And then you have a store. Oh, y'all didn't know that? Am I saying too much? Y'all want me to keep going, or I don't need to say that? Okay. All right. Um, the way the accounting and the currency flows is that if you live, work, or have a situs, a trust situs, in a area where it's sited by water on one side, what is the state that's behind you? What states around you don't have access to the waterway that you have? You got to take care of that first. See, every entrepreneur that's taking care of that, that's who the police is protecting. When you out there fumbling and trimming with the tag and no insurance, and because you messing up what? Commerce. We got to keep these highways clear so our trucks can come to and fro. You out here fumbling and trimming, you're a liability with no insurance out here on the highway. So I got to tax you. Where you going? Man, they always messing with me. No, nigga, you in the way. All of the entrepreneurs who know that do have a side hustle, because they call crime organized, don't they got the payroll? Don't they got the people on the payroll, like the police and the judges and all? You got to pay, right? You think you're gonna come on the board? Nope, don't pay nobody, and nobody ain't gonna free pick you off the board. If I work for the gambling commission and I know you got illegalized gambling in the hood that's taking my business, you don't think I'm going to drop a dime and get y'all up out of there? Now watch this. if you was taking that illegal gambling money and buying what I'm selling, wouldn't be so hostile, would it? How do you think the individuals that run Chinatown stay isolated? Okay, isn't there a community? Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Somebody finna say it. Somebody finna say it. They operate. They got people they trust. So they got people in different cultures that they what? Trust. They might not trust all black people, all white people, all Jews, but they do have some in their corner that they what? Do, because they in what? Business with them. It's a business arrangement. It's families. You don't come into commerce by yourself and think you're going to stay on the board when there's families that run these territories. Now, when you set up a family, guess what happens? It's not hostility. They're welcoming you. You're a brand new family office, a brand new family association. That's why they fight so hard for things that are not of the guild. Am I losing anybody? Okay. Now, remember, when you all out there, all isolated without family, they really don't know who you are. So you got to understand, you're out of uniform. You're commingling. You're in the commercial zone, and you're not paying the policy enforcers. So you got way too many people out there saying, nah, they really throwing salt on your campaign. You follow me? Now, if you got a tax ID number and you are an active member of the Chamber of Commerce, and when they got all this money that's coming into your community, and you know that doo-doo rolled downhill, so if y'all buy the port and y'all got towns and cities in other states that can use what you got going on, and you got the money because the bread just came in, all you got to do is say, hey, now how much you say this stuff costs? Well, we're doing this, that, and the other. We get this real estate for this price. So, well, look here. Let me get this right. How much is this land is going to be worth $1 million? How much we got to pay? $200,000? I got 10 people right now. But I'm going to need, for what you just said, I need you to put it in black and white. I mean, I trust you and all, but it's called trust, but verify. I need some documentation. See, I got people that don't have access to the port that want this. They're willing to invest. Well, what are we going to get out of it? Resources. The family who is closest to the water controls the resources. There are states that have their own gold reserves. Listen to me real carefully, y'all. Some states have their own gold reserves, which means that when these big banks start taking everybody's stuff, they ain't going to get everybody's stuff. They're just going to get the ones that's all out there willy-nilly right now, right? Everybody who knows what's happening, they ain't doing no podcasts, no classes, teaching nobody nothing. They say a blind man ain't got no business to the table. If you sit around and wait for the government to tell you what to do, the last time they did that, they came and took your gold. Notice I didn't say silver. Let's break it down. Gold is kryptonite to the debt derivative system because you technically can't print up paper without having the gold to back it. They don't like that plan because Some folks got gold. It ain't real gold. It ain't theirs. Look, Germany and all these other countries done came and got their shit because they done went through that. World War One. Somehow we ended up with it. That's why we had all these world wars. Now they done went and got it back, and they got no intentions on giving it back. America stayed on top because it made you take dollars. You know, we went to war with countries so we can flood them with our dollars. Now listen to me carefully. What's the difference between what happened during Iraq and Desert Storm and what's happening in the Ukraine? Saddam Hussein literally said, and I quote, I ain't giving no country bumpkins nothing. If they want something, I'm taxing them. And if I was you, you need to be taxing them too. And that's what got him seen about. The difference is those that are looking at the Ukraine are following the money. And they're like, all right, who's funding this campaign? Guess who's funding them? I mean, y'all don't have any educated guesses on who's funding Ukraine right now? Okay. Y'all don't remember when Donald Trump was in office and there was all this talk, we was trade war this, trade war that, and and a lot of folks got all bent out of shape. And now again, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're still part of the same ugly bird. Donald is a businessman. Donald said, I'm not paying them country bumpkins nothing. If they want our stuff, they got to pay us. Now the difference was when Saddam Hussein did that under the Bush administration, we had to take him out. When Trump said it, we got to get rid of this mind state. We need the people supporting government. We need the people believing that big government knows best and big business is bad. Because see, these businessmen, say what you want, they know how to make a dollar. And last time I checked, if we're going to stack up who side has the most, laughs and giggles. Which from your political perspective, which house supports the wealthy? The Democrats or the Republicans? If you wealthy, you probably pro what? Pro Republican or pro Democrat? If you have over 12 million net in your business and over 100 million in your accounts that you stand with, you probably what? Pro Republic, right? But if you ain't making 100 grand on your Joe and even on your side hustle, they can hit you with that Democrat bullshit, right? Now, it's two sides to the same ugly ass bird. Why? Because all the rich folks don't, all that shit they write ain't gonna affect them. It ain't for them. See how it works? Y'all still waiting to see Donald Trump. They done supposedly done indicted Trump, done sent him to jail, and y'all still ain't seen his taxes yet, have you? Yeah. That man done got an indictment, done got out on bond. Y'all still ain't. He's like, man, look at here. That's that get out of jail free. Say, if I show this, I'm gonna shut all this shit down. They know that too. They just trying to see who's still with that campaign. They don't went the other way now. See, well, it's truth ain't popular. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. What you need to do is get into arbitration if any of your family members have been exposed to that vaccine. That's what you need to do. Yes, Diddy. Add up how many folks in your family done volunteered and done told you, yeah, I'm vaxxed and I'm proud. Get a head count. Then holler at me. Mm-hmm. Holler at me. See, what's gonna happen is with this new study, they're gonna classify COVID as a disease that they already said it was, which we all know is something way more than that, and it's a form of disability, which is code word for you got one time to get all your stuff out of that welfare trust. But everybody gonna miss the lick because see, you gonna miss the lick. You ain't gonna go on the side where you gonna do your paperwork and control the trust. You gonna go volunteer to tongue wrestle these folks and try to get your hands on some fiat. It's gonna be a real simple side move. They gonna say, okay, everybody who done had the vaccine that wants some money, go apply for disability with the Social Security Administration. And then if you don't bat an eye, you help and fill out that paperwork, you missed the move. Somebody in the line was like, if it's a form of disability and you done force my family member to get a vaccination, aren't you liable? See, you see how that works? That's the move. Now the baby's got to get it, grandma got to get it, and y'all knew it wasn't safe. Oh, that's a lawsuit, ain't it? That's what somebody supposed to be saying. Like, hey, I mean, I know we can file disability, but isn't that a lawsuit? I'll go further. If you got insurance and you die, who collects the insurance? Ooh, Lord. Okay. Watch this. Everybody got this thing called Social Security insurance, right? But if I have given you a soft kill that I can cloak as dementia, HIV, Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, sudden adult death syndrome, and all this other bullshit I done heard, this is chess, not checkers. And if you ain't smart enough to realize, wait a minute, you and Fauci said this. What the fuck you mean? I can file some disability. That's what you're supposed to say. Right. There you go. See, When you realize you're in the Wild West, it's gonna be real fun when we do this class. They had to put these AI technologies out here because the only way you're going to be able to really navigate the way you're supposed to is you're going to have to get off the dirt road and get on the expressway. And some folks in their thinking is going to be riding around in the hood, never getting out of the hood, never even getting on the expressway. They can't even get on the expressway now. These 15-minute cities ain't going to let you go but 15 minutes from where you at right now. And if you can't do everything you need to do within 15 minutes of where you stand, right now, the information that's being disseminated can be captured, repetitioned, and reformatted for use. We're just going to talk about financial information. There isn't no symbol for credit. That means that everywhere there's a computer algorithm, there's for every letter there's a symbol, because actually what we call the alphabet in English vernacular are symbols that we just happen to call the alphabet. They're symbols. And in the present day construct, there isn't a symbol for credit. The social experiment is that your generation helps define what credit will look like in the next millennia. There will be a credit symbol in the next millennia because you're writing the algorithm. See, without having history, you ever heard the saying, render to Caesar what is Caesar's and render to God what is God? Who's ever heard of that? If you've heard of it, that isn't just, all right, do you understand that there were many Caesars? Caesar's wasn't just a name, it was a title. A lot of people get it mixed up whether there's just one Caesar. No, people were being groomed to become the Caesars of old. That was a title that became a name to hide the family associations. What you call a name was really a title. I'll give you an example. It was Moorish culture that influenced our governmental structure. So everywhere where they have presidents and vice presidents, you have divans, royal divans. These are all titles. And the title of Bey is the equivalent of a governor. Without the history, you won't know that. Especially if you don't know geologically that they placed your township. Because see, everything that has that word ship, township, citizenship, friendship, all that ship, that's maritime. And they ain't just picked that out of a hat. You've been dumbed down to the point where you're keeping your own self on the ship. You're supposed to be selling through commerce, through trust, on top of the water. And a lot of us are walking around with no scuba gear underwater, drowning. This technology is life preserver. Some of you guys going to be able to build you a boat in about 2 days. It's the days of Noah and the flood is coming. And some of you guys are going to be able to build your boat in 48 hours. The construct is going to allow those that use this technology to re-petition your family's health, wealth, and integrity. You have this window. Developers are going to be hired to start working for the what? The corporations. The corporations are the governments now. What you see up there on the hill, that's just for show and tell. They got a different agenda. They're like the lot where they put all the repo vehicles at. They work for the creditors. Their job is to. I told you that wall does two things: keep people out and keep people in. Y'all do know there's a massive exodus of people getting the hell out of here, right? Y'all do know that, right? Y'all ain't figured it out yet. There's a equal there's an equal and opposite to everything. If they're bussing immigrants in by the truckload, that means there's a lot of people leaving by the truckload. Get it? You got to have a polarity. And right, and then when I say going, I'm just talking about it in the vernacular. I ain't just talking about catching the plane and I'm leaving on the jet plane. You going to work and ain't coming back. You going like Jamie Foxx to a movie set and you follow where I'm going. There's a lot of people leaving. I'm gonna go here, y'all. If I grew up with you and I know you got a mole on your left finger, and when you go to the hospital and you said you had this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden you're doing better, and then you're doing photo option on Instagram and this, that, and the other, and when I look, I don't see no mole on your finger no more, and that eye that used to leak don't leak no more. If I know you, might think something. But if I'm just tuned into the social media, them deep fakes are a mug. Let's put on top of it, they're actors. Let's put on top of acting, you have doubles, stunt doubles. Let's put on top of it, they can take somebody out, replace them all in the same day, and because we're so discombobulated with what the reality of what's being done, you wouldn't know the difference. You live in a world where it's politically dangerous to voice what you truly believe in. You live in a world where what you believe could get you out of here. Nobody wants to tell that story. That's not good. That's not a real good feel good, no. They got to tell it a different way. Just look around. Literally in tomorrow's class that I will do, I do have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I'll be going to see my surgeon, and after I get back, I will be back in this space to walk you through some things that can be done in the realm of AI when it comes to monetizing certain things. But in the overall perspective of things, is knowing you got to have some come from. You got to have some resources. You got to have a plan. Well, I guess I could do it. Let's see. Let's see something here. No, it won't let me record it where they can see it, but let me see something here. All right. Does anyone have a scenario that they would like to arbitrate? Okay. You want to acquire some vehicles for the trust. So when the trust is acquiring vehicles, there's a purpose
Right. Like for transportation, for transportation
for transportation services for transportation.
services, like transportation services.
So you're providing this service to the general public,
Right.
to other corporations. Are you going into a franchise? What are we talking about?
Um, we talking like let's say rental car service. You want to provide?
Okay, so if you're acquiring the vehicles, and are you want to acquire them and brand them under the trust? Define transportation services so I can be real specific in my reasoning here.
Okay. Okay. Let's just say transportation. Let's just say rental, like rental car. You want to have vehicles that's rentable for the public.
Rent.
Now,
Okay, okay. I would find a franchise I can buy into,
okay.
and then once I find the franchise I want to buy into, then I would issue them a K1 and pay the franchise fee.
Okay. All right. All right. So okay. Let's do property and trust.
What kind of?
Let's acquire a property for real estate, like to sell, to fix and flip.
Okay, so if you're in the fix and flipping business, that means you're not into. All right, when you do fix and flip, what are we fixing and flipping? Residential, commercial? What are we doing?
Commercial.
Commercial real estate. All right, what is the when you're doing fix and flip? What is your net asset value and how much equity are you going to be dealing with? For example, when you're dealing in real estate, the predicating proponent. Okay, so 30% equity. All right, so that means do you already have assets on hand?
We need to acquire some.
Okay,
No,
so
no, assets. No, assets on hand. Assets on hand.
like what? Give me an example of an asset that's on hand.
Um, Another property,
This property is free and clear,
free and clear.
and this property is all right. So let's be specific in the deal. What are you buying? How much? And so I need the details because I'm it's
House. I want to acquire some land for 150,000.
mhm. Okay.
20 acres.
Mhm.
150,000.
Mhm.
I got some land that's worth 400,000.
Right.
I mean a property that's worth 400,000.
Right.
And I want to use and I need 250,000 out of that property.
You need $250,000 out of the property for what purpose?
Because the land purchase is 150 to put a structure on the land.
Who's selling the property?
Um, Southwest Mortgage Company.
So it's on the mortgage company. So is the property free and clear? Is it taxes that's owed? What's the status of the property that's being sold?
It's free and clear.
Free and clear. And it's worth 400,
Right, 400,000.
and they selling it for how much?
No, 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 no. The property that I wanted to use for
The property that you want to use, the property that you're buying is how much?
the property that I'm buying is worth 150,000.
It's worth 150,000.
Right, 150,000. That's how much it's worth.
Mhm. So let me be clear. The property that you want to use as collateral's got the 4, and the property that you want to buy is the 100K.
Uh-huh.
So you have a $400,000 collateral property. and you want to use that to buy this $100,000 property,
right,
and you're asking me how you do that,
right,
and this property is free and unencumbered,
free and unencumbered.
how will you title the property?
How will you title it?
I'm asking you, how are you going to title it?
What do you mean?
How are you going to title it? Are you going to title the property and the name of the individual? Are you going to title the property as, in a individual's name? Right. So I need to know how you. Okay, in trust. So if you're titling it into a trust and it's free and unencumbered, you're going to actually do a 1031 exchange and pay the taxes on the property from the trust proceeds, which give you the control and interest, and then do a an assignment.
A 1031.
You only pay them. Right. You do a 1031 exchange. Now you can use a K1 to take the property down.
Okay. Okay. So 1031 and
The equity that's in the property, you can use a K1 to take it down. If it's free and unencumbered, and the property is collateral is worth 400 grand, and the property you're trying to buy is 100 grand, you do a 1031 exchange and then issue a K1 to the bank.
okay.
It'll go off their book and come on your book. That's why you using it. That's why you're doing the exchange.
Well,
Any other question? Who got a question? Go ahead.
I want some more elaboration on that 1031 exchange.
Okay. The 1031. Go ahead.
Right. Because you said the K1 goes to the bank, so I'm just trying to see how that ties. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead.
Okay. Tell me what part you're having trouble understanding, then I can explain it.
The K1 is going to the bank. That's just a part of the instructions as we're normally doing, as if we're doing transmitter letter assemblies.
Right.
It's the same. Is that the same concept
Same
for the
concept.
1031
Right.
exchange?
Right. Same concept.
Okay.
Any other question? Mm. All right. Mhm.
I guess
Go ahead.
what I want to elaborate. I want to go back over that again.
Mhm.
Same same context.
Mhm.
So it's a real estate property.
Mhm.
It's a real estate project. It's no
Mhm.
business that's tied to it. It's just a matter of just wanting to take down um, a commercial property.
Mhm.
The the asset now will be um, assembled
Uh huh.
with a value of at least $1 million to be able to use as collateral, through our structure of insurances,
Mhm.
because this is a fresh deal.
Right.
So right now it's about having a complete, a transmitter letter, um, arbitration in the middle,
Right.
one transmitter bond on the end
Right.
to be able to establish the necessary collateral that's needed.
Mhm.
And once once that's in place,
easy to think about is that during the arbitration, you get the loan, and your job is to repay the loan. Are you understand what I'm saying when I say it? That one? Okay. You go through arbitration so you qualify for the loan. So when you qualify for the loan, you get the loan. Now you understand how loans work. You done been in a mortgage before, right? Like when they close, money don't exchange hands. You just get the keys. But if you did all your homework on the front end, you get the keys and the money back. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions?
If I was to come into contact with an associate that had a position at a bank,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, I don't know if the bank will determine on how the scenario will go, but say they the vice president of the bank,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to have a conversation with them in the capacity of asymmetric information.
Mm-hmm.
I want to address them with some of the instruments that I have
Mm-hmm.
to see if we can perform some type of conveyance into the banking system. What proposal could I present to this vice president to assure that they're a competent fiduciary or not, or to see what type of ball game we could play?
If this person a VP and up, they got access to a Bloomberg terminal, and you're clear. So it's a real easy conversation, as long as you got one that you can utilize.
So I would need a Bloomberg account as well.
It would be preferable how you explaining this. If I were engaging with a VP and we're finna do an assignment, we're gonna say assignment. That's the slow money. Doing it through the Bloomberg terminal, that's the fast money. Because no money got to move for us to close. You just got to show it's on my book.
Okay.
It's a whole different swag. So you got to find out what type of fiduciary you're dealing with. What is their level of intellect when it comes to M3 conveyances? Typically, how I find out whether I'm dealing with someone that knows what's going on is what type of MTN proponent can we use to close this real estate transaction? If they jump right on in and start giving me MT 760 instructions, all right, we're working with something. If they get quiet and say I don't know and I'm unfamiliar, not that they're a bad person, they just we're apples and oranges here.
Right.
And it doesn't mean we can't get it done. I guess we got to take a different strategy to do it. So I would ask questions in a way to determine their ability to convey. Because you can use insurance to do it. But whatever they're saying, like I kind of go this way. You should be able to show that VP of profit and loss with equity without you having to show any of your private documents. A P&L report is how you would approach it. Because we would develop it.
Okay. So,
We would do an LBO from the profit and loss statement. Any other questions? I'm sorry, I'm chomping, man. I done got hungry over here.
no, it's all good. Um, I see sometimes I run into potential clients too that they be in different positions. Some are kind of like coming across some capital, or they coming into contact with fiat,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of been getting a little bird here and there about owning nothing, control, and everything. So they want to approach getting themselves in, in that type of space. So, I'm trying to just draft up proposals and different scenarios that I could confront them with that will make them comfortable enough without me having to massage them into some type of space, but just have them comfortable enough to kind of see where I'm guiding them to. If I have a person that may be in a certain industry and they like, well, hey man, I'm making this amount of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get a trust? I don't have a trust. I got all these LLCs, I got these business accounts, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get the structure going? And if they're ready to go, what
Mm.
I need to try to they will be beginners. I'm dealing with more asymmetric information than them, so I'll be, like you say, the smartest in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to guide them with some type of light that they can see where they're going, where it's like, okay, boom, 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 like that. So would I start with arbitration or would I start with, hey, let me get your trust structure in place first, and then we go with, taking the assets that they have and then acquiring and start.
You want to run the client off and create lines from that standpoint. That's why.
Right, so I would want to position them to get funding, right? To show them, look, we can do what you're doing without you reaching in your pockets so much. We can either, use other people's money, OPM,
Right.
or we can
Right.
get funding. Okay,
A smart entrepreneur is going to use OPM, other people's money. A smart trustee is always going to manage assets under management. So, a smart trustee is using the trust bank account, is using the trust credit card, is using the assets that are under trust to do whatever they need to do on behalf of the trust. So what you're trying to educate your clients on is not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. If you can make $1 million a year and it only takes 20,000 to run your business a month, then you need to have a business that can recoup that 20 grand and repetition it. You're trying to build a machine that can spend 20 grand and get the 20 grand back that it spent. So you're just spending the same 20 grand. Now you're able to do more because it's not costing you 20 grand. The 20 grand is paying for itself. And that may require other streams of revenue, other businesses. You should have, in my opinion, at least 10 businesses that you're presently operating. So part of the infrastructure is diversify that income.
okay.
That's why you set up a trust so you can do business. Because see, some businesses, some LLCs, they in a non-compete clause. They can't compete. But then they're in trust. The trust can do, it's outside of that agreement. You following?
Right.
McDonald's is not in the burger flipping business. They're in real estate. They just flip burgers to buy $1 million piece of real estate for $250,000. They spend all their money on advertising for Ronald McDonald and all that stuff because they're in the real estate business. If you have an EIN number associated with a McDonald's franchise, that's a credit. Because you are paying a franchise licensing fee, you can walk into a bank and simply utilize the business that you're spending money in. It's just like applying for a loan, but you got a co-signer, which is Ronald McDonald. Because you bought their license. Just like a lot of folks don't realize we'll go here. You're already a loan officer with Go Capital, right?
Correct.
So when you get ready to get a deal funded, you should be putting Go Capital's EIN on your application because that's your business partner. That's how you get your loans, Joe. If you're trying to do one. Don't you work for Go Capital? Don't you got a contract with them?
Right. So you said I could use their EIN on the application.
Sure can. They're your business partner. Now let's use some common sense now. Listen to what I'm saying. Let's use some common sense now. Don't do a loan with Go Capital with their EIN. Go to another lender.
Right. That's what I was just about to say. I wouldn't be putting it on the actual application with Go Capital. That's what I was just about to say.
Right.
Okay.
That's
I think that's a real sufficient position to have over there as a loan officer. It's a lot of things that's capable to be done.
joint. Look, if you join 5 more loan companies, those are 5 trade lines. It's We're gonna get off in this when we get into the class. That's why I'm asking you guys to ask questions.
That sounds like a debit and a credit.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Man. That's exactly what it is. I just hope you guys are listening.
You caught that, bro?
I hope they caught it.
Right, so that's a debit and a credit.
Right. It sure is.
That's what I'm saying. The affiliation.
Right.
The business partner.
And
Debit
the credit. That's right.
So once you enter into a contract with them, they are now your
Business partner.
and as such, you able to, that's why he just said, now you go to another spot, because now you able to leverage your attachment. That's why they got the indemnity clause.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. See, what y'all don't realize is that the commission they paying you, they just pinging the DTC and paying you. They ain't, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, we figured it out. We working at it right now. Yeah, you see, exactly, because they know it already what we are
Right.
being trained to do. So that's what you thinking that it is, it's not.
It never is. That's the selling point.
Exactly.
That's why they spend that bread to market a certain type way, so you'll think a certain type way.
Right. Because even with some of the background understanding of like the Staff Debt Collecting Practices Act or that Truth in Lending Act, it's saying that financial institutions should truly the borrower.
Always.
So when they funding, they pulling that from some type of fund or some type of security that's already monetized.
Yeah, when you could create the note, you never take control of the note. You created it. You created it and abandoned it.
Right. So they sell it.
When you go look for real estate and you need a proof of funds, which is not hard to do, especially with Go Capital, because they'll give you 10 questions. You fill that out. They'll produce the proof of funds. If it's a residential property, somebody's gonna have to produce after you fill out that 1003 a HUD 1. And if you ever get your hands on a HUD-1 before you close, you own the property when they give you the HUD-1. At that point, you own the property free and unencumbered. But most people, what they do is you get the HUD-1 because you got to what? Sign the HUD-1 at closing. So what you do is they give you the HUD-1 for you to make your UCC filing. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, I did. You supposed to take when they hand you the HUD-1, you immediately make a UCC1 filing, and then you sign it. Now watch this. Life kicks in. Bad car accident, your wife leave you, your dog die, whatever. You can't make the payment. Well, there's a clause inside of that contract that will, for whatever reason, when you can't make the payment, their credit insurance with the title company makes that. But you got to file a claim. But you already got your UCC in place, so now you're in position to what? Make a claim. There's no reason for the property foreclosure because you can't make the payment. But so when you can't make the payment, that's what you got insurance for. But we sign contracts all the time and don't read it. And they know that. So they put it right there in the contract. You can do all this stuff knowing you're not going to read it. So I don't know what's worse. Not reading or reading something and don't know what the hell you're reading. What's worse? Somebody said both of them ain't no good. That's bad business. Remember, they are card sharks. You're in Vegas, and the rule is a blind man got no business at the table. So when you do that, you're blind, showing them your hand, asking them, "Did I win?" Nah, you ain't win. Damn. You know, that's what you're doing. I love. Yeah. You have to understand they have to give you your remedy in the contract. They have to give you the insurance and the remedy in the contract. And when you don't see it, that's an opportunity to negotiate. If they hand you a contract and you don't see the policy number and their malpractice bond, ask for it. Here's a short Q&A. Just a short open book test. If you're dealing with a company that has a EIN number and they're with the Better Business Bureau and they are bonded and insured, before you transact, can you ask for that information before you contract?
Right, yeah, you're able to assure that it's bonded before you do it.
Failure to ask that up front and then if stuff go left, right, or sideways, who's in the wrong? You or them?
Yeah, you in the wrong for not requesting that bond.
When you go buy a car and it's brand new and you finance it, let's say they ask you about insurance, you say, "Oh, I'll get it when I get home." They'll still let you take that car home?
I ain't supposed to, but I had one do me like that. Let me leave without the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not supposed to let you leave that. You gotta have an insurance before you pull out a lot.
Right. So if the public and private don't mix, and the public makes sure that whatever they do with you, they gotta be bonded and insured to seal the deal. Don't deviate from that in your dealings. And if you do that, closing deals will be a whole lot easier, more smoother, and you'll sound very intelligent. They used to have back in the day on the Wendy's commercial, the old lady saying, "Where's the beef?" You're looking at the contract looking for where's the insurance. Because if I can see the insurance, we can get it reinsured. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the credit. Right. That's right. You need insurance. Any other questions? If I don't have any questions, I got my chat GPT up. And just for laughs and giggles, I need a scenario to see what we can come up with. Somebody give me a transaction that needs to be funded.
I got a potential buyer that wanted to buy a real estate portfolio
Mm-hmm.
from the seller.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was we're attempting to run it through Go Capital, but they want to buy this property. It needs to be funded. Now, the buyer is the competent producer.
Okay.
Where they have the competent fund.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before this, I was trying to introduce like the non-recourse loan
Right.
to the individual because they have a pledge, like they have a pledge for a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they have to spend in a certain amount of time. It's kind of like Brewster's Millions.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So they have this, and so I was trying, which is trying to find it because they kind of got their ball rolling already, and again, they're competent to do this. So I'm trying to not intercept it too much to try to step in there with some type of scenario that'll make sense for them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They offer to go through Go Capital with a commercial purchase or whatever, real estate financing through Go Capital.
Right.
There's 15 properties. Go Capital said that they were funded. They wanted to assure that each property was 150,000,
Right.
at least 150,000 each.
Right.
So to fund this transaction, I mean, I think it would work through Go Capital, but if it didn't, are you saying like, would that be a good enough scenario for you to build on?
Yeah.
Or is it that need to be funded, or?
Right. How many properties is it?
I think it was. I want to say 15, but it was between like 9 to 15 properties.
Okay. Somebody take a calculator, take those amount of properties, multiply that by how much? 150 grand. 15 times 150 grand. And somebody give me the math on that.
That's right around. And it's gonna take us up.
Wait a minute. You got 15 properties. Yep.
That's like 2. Yeah, that's 2,250,000.
All right. So that's almost like 1.2. All right. So here's what you need. How much? I need a rock bottom number. 150,000. 22 million.
It's 2,250,000.
Right. 2 million two. 2.5. 2.5. We'll just round it up. All right. Any of these properties, all these properties are free and unencumbered? No liens on them?
Yep. Nah, the owner is trying to sell the portfolio. So these properties are inside of this portfolio.
Are they, so there's no liens on the properties that are in the portfolio?
Correct.
The properties have already been appraised?
I believe so. I was looking forward to receiving a draft back to kind of give me all of the solid numbers, but yeah, I believe they all been appraised. Like I said, the Go Capital was saying that they would have to be at least 150, but I believe they'll be at 150 or more.
Okay. So there's about 5 ways to do this. The initial way to fund this would go capital, like they already told you. The property's got to at least come back at 150 grand for it to be feasible. What I would do is whatever loan product Go Capital is going to push, I would go ahead and secure a mortgage-backed security, a commercial mortgage-backed security. It's called a CMBS. C is in Charlie, M is in Michael, B is in Bravo, S is in Sam. And
CMBS.
and I would pair up a CMBS with this portfolio. So that's where the bread will ultimately be tethered back to when you leverage this with arbitration. So devil's advocate, the appraisals come back at 150. There's still finna be a mortgage obligation that you can tie into this CMBS. So when they make the mortgage payment, you got positive cash flow, even though you ain't got no tenants in the bill. So it's a win-win-win. So a mortgage is gonna be created. So a dividends reinvestment plan. Let's say, all right, if you're on Go Capital's website, they got a mortgage calculator. Do a $2.5 million loan at five. No, do it for 8%, and whatever that monthly payment is, I can tell you what their dividends reinvestment will be. We need to know what a monthly payment will be on a $2.5 million loan at 8% interest. The term we do the term for if they give you an option, do it for 3 years.
What did you say the CMBS stood for again?
Commercial mortgage-backed securities.
Okay.
And if you can find the mortgage calculator on the Go Capital website, you should be able to calculate what the monthly payment would be at 2.5 a $2.5 million loan at 8% for 36 months. Because if you give me that number, what you're paying a month, I can tell you what your dividends will be. Are you looking on the calculator?
Right.
Go on to GoCapital.com's website and go all the way down to the bottom of the page. It should say mortgage calculator. Interest rate is 8%. Do it at 8 or 8.5. $36 months. 36 months. Mhm. How much they're paying?
2.5.
We're looking. It's a $2.5 million loan at 8% interest at 36 months. I want to know what the monthly payment is. All right. So multiply that times 5. That's the dividends. So what's 16 grand times 5? So they're netting 83 grand a month by making that $16,000 payment. If they make 16 grand every month, they're getting back 83. Subtract that 60 from that 83, and what's your net? That's their net. So their gross will be 83. They'll be grossing 83 grand a month, and after they, the net will be that number there. That's the cost to do that deal. You get that insured. That's how you close that transaction. You insure. You get that insured. Right. Right. That that money transmittal bond is the is just be clear, the money transmittal bond is for the whole 2.5 if they can't pay the bag back. You're bringing the insurance to cover that $83,000 payment. Right. That 16 grand that they got to spend. Let's say revenue wise, they only can have a debt utilization of 10% to 30%. So you got to look at what they're spending a month, and you got to have enough insurance to make it where they're under 30% disposable income. That's right. Then you're bulletproof. Right. Right. You want a right performing paper. You don't ever want to go into a deal in your head of what if they don't pay. To eliminate those doubts, you're gonna make sure they pay. Give them an incentive to pay. Like make your $16,000 payment so you can get 83 grand. That's an incentive. Because if you make the payment, you got 83 grand, so you can make a few more payments. You follow me? Right. It's not about what you. It's never about how much you make. It's about what you keep. Right. You leverage that in your next deal. That becomes that becomes income on your book for the next deal. The dividends, right? I, yeah, that's pretty easy to fund. I didn't even have to use a chat for that one. Right. Mhm. Right. When you're dealing, you know, when you're dealing with a REIT, the rule with the real estate investment trust is you gotta buy real estate every month. That's the rule. Now your first set of real estate may be for residential, but you're as a REIT, in order for you to not get in trouble with the IRS, you got to be buying real estate every 45 days. That means you're contracting, you're going around the globe buying real estate at least once a month. So there's 12 parcels that you got to keep. So just know what your book's gonna look like for the year. You're always managing 12 properties. Let me make it easier for you. It could be one property. It may have 12 different things that you're doing real estate wise. You follow me? You may be building something from the ground up. So if you're going, so let me show you what that looks like in terms of loan product. You do a construction loan to build it, and when you sell it, you do a mezzanine. A mezzanine is like I already got a portfolio. I want to carry this equity into my new project, so I'm gonna let you buy me out as a general contractor. I got a portfolio of $40 million in real estate. I need 2 million in influx. You give me 2 million, you can have this 40 million in real estate, because 2 million puts me in my next gig because I've got a construction perm. So they mix and mingle different loan products. I'm not recording this for the general public, so just listen. This is not legal advice. How many of you guys think you know what a flip is? Notice how I said that. What you think you know what a flip is? How many think you know what a flip is?
Flipping real estate, flipping property.
Mm-hmm. Somebody say they know what a flip is.
Yeah, I know what a flip is.
Mm-hmm.
What's a flip, Dre? Handspring. Hot wheel.
Okay.
Backward flip.
Okay.
The twist. Nigga crazy.
All right. Good answer. Contractors, they have this concept. It's called a backwards flip. How many of you guys have ever heard of a backwards flip in real estate? Anybody ever heard of a backwards flip? Okay, so let me explain to you what this look like. This only works with debtors, but this happens all the time with people that don't have information. They know just enough to do. Listen to this. This is asymmetric information gone off the rail. This is asymmetric information done ass backwards, in my opinion. But contractors do it all the time. It's called a backwards flip. Here's what'll happen. You have someone that's predominantly like, they got great credit, like a doctor, a lawyer. They've got their hands a whole bunch of real estate. So they got a lot of assets, but they're cash poor. They're strapped. They need cash. They need fiat. So here's what they do. They got great credit, no cash. They're willing to ruin their credit to touch some cash. This is why I say this is asymmetric information gone bad. What this contractor will do is he'll invite one of his good buddies to the local bar. And he'll say, look, I'm working on a job. This job is worth $15 million. But I need to put my hands on some cash in about 2 weeks. I need to put my hands on about $500,000 in cash, or I'm finna lose my shirt. So his good buddy said, okay, well, all right. Well, what they got to do with me? I got my eye on this property, right? This property that I'm looking at is worth $7 million. I can get the property for $2 million. What I need for you to do is I'm going to go and acquire that property, and I'm going to need you to come behind me as my business partner, my silent partner, and do a silent second mortgage on this thing. So they drank a couple more drinks. He said, all right, now let me get this straight. You finna go to your bank tomorrow and go finance this you finna go finance this $7 million property that you can buy for $2 million. Right. And then you want me to come back behind you after you do so and do a silent second. Well, how am I going to do the silent second? Don't worry about it. Just follow my lead. When I go get the loan, I'm going to quit claim the property to you for $1. And I'm going to make my first payment. And then the next month, I ain't going to send any country bumpkins nothing. Next month, I ain't going to send no country bumpkins nothing. 90 days, I'm getting the threat letters. Now, when I start getting the threat letters, that's when you're going to go to your mortgage company with your quit claim and go get a second mortgage on it. They're going to foreclose on the property. You're going to get the property, because you already got the quit claim. You're going to then do a cash refi. Break me off $500,000. You keep the property, and we home free to the next. That's a backwards flip. Don't do that. But I know a lot of people that do. Because there you go. All right. Cause see, all that fiat is that's why I say that's his ass backwards to me. But you gotta remember, they like being out at front, flash and dash, and they like that. That's why you see the guy get his hand on $500,000, That's where you at. There's a much easier way of doing that. Yeah, there's a much easier way of doing it. It's more hustles that are legal than illegal. Remember that. Everything you know how to do that's illegal, there is 20 ways to do it legally. And it's a hustle. It's just 20 legitimate ways of doing whatever you're finna do off the rail. You just gotta read. That's all. J.L. Hunt. Now he was an upright businessman, but he knew a lot of people in the trenches. Why? Because they was loyal to him. You know, his soldier that was out there in the dirt always bought him stuff. But because they always in the dirt, they always in what? Trouble. They need borrowing money. Baby mama done put them out. You know, they always need some shit. That's how he got in on deals. That's how he built this fortune off of everybody else's misfortune. He didn't get his hands dirty. It's just that if if your hands were dirty, he'll wash them for a fee. And if you want to see, Hollywood, that's where they get the character J.R. Ewing from, J.L. Hunt. Just go back and watch all them old episodes of Dallas. You'll pick up a whole bunch of new game. J.R. bought oil wells in Argentina that was worth $40 billion, with one piece of property was only worth $1 million. It's it was totally legit what he did, but like they say in out west, he playing with crooked dice though. See, those kind of guys, they don't mind sticking the bank. See, when you operate in trust, you got equity. You can tell a banker to go jump off a bridge. Like, let's say you're in the middle of a transaction. You're getting ready to do something with Donnell, Antoine, all of us. You got a $3 billion deal. And you got real estate, but all your cash is tied up. So you go to your bank and say, man, I need you to get me a line of credit. I just need it for 30 days. And because the bank know you need it, they're going to press you for some stuff they ain't got no business doing. Like make you personally guarantee some stuff. You follow me? That's how they play. The old heads or the OGs, how you young guys say it, the OGs, they do it differently. If they want what you got, they ain't gonna take it from you. If I have problems with a company because they don't want to cooperate, I buy out the competition, and then I raise your prices because of what I'm raising, you paying me now. That's how they play. They'll come to you with a deal knowing you ain't gonna take it. So when they do you in, you had it coming. There's enough money for everybody to make. But when you start talking about trust and equity, those of you that have never been in trust as a trust fund baby, that demographic, if you're under the age of 72, in the year 2023, 2024, there's going to be 150 brand new millionaires and billionaires. That's statistics. Because of the knowledge in this tech. If you're not using this knowledge in the tech, you're going to have to get you another trade. Any other questions? Give me another scenario before we jump out of here. I got my chat up. I want to plug it into something. Anybody have an equation, a scenario that they want to get funded or want to learn how to do a scenario? If you already have access to Chat GPT, how many of you guys already have it? You already start using it, already start messing with it.
I have.
Do you have the free version or the paid version?
Paid version. I got I use a free trial for the paid version.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All the, all the plugins. Right.
Which one you suggest?
With what we're getting ready to do, pay one. You can get it done with the free one. The paid one though is just I'm gonna suggest the paid one because of what you're gonna be doing in banking in the box. That's it like that. There is a prompt like for all right. So Donnell, you say you've been using it, right? How do you use Chat GPT? Okay. Okay. What have you used it for? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how have you used Chat GPT with your study material? For laughs and giggles, if you got on your computer a program that lets you type up documents like a Word doc, you have that on your computer? Chat GPT is a language model. And language is written in the form of what? Text. Text. So if you got a Word document and you had the text on the Word document, it'll read the text. Get it? So if you got a section of the book that you want to get broken down and summarized, you copy and paste it and then put it up in the what? There you go. There you go. You can, but I can't show that to you until you get in the class. Any other question before we adjourn? I thought I was gonna get to use my chat today. We can answer all these questions on that top out here. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. If you got access to Chat GPT, mm-hmm, and you haven't read the first chapter of that accounting manual, shame on you. Because if you actually get you a Word doc and make you a resource page, which means you're copying and pasting stuff out your accounting manual onto that Word doc, and then you call it a resource page, and then you copy and paste your resource page into Chat GPT and summarize the chapter. You can go through these chapters pretty quicker. I took a 5-hour presentation and it summarizes into 16 minutes. Everything that was in it that was pertinent was condensed to 15 minutes out of 5 hours. There's a plug-in that you can get with Chat that will actually break down videos. So if you prompt the Chat, it'll actually watch the video and break it down in a written format. Not transcribing it word for word, breaking it down and summarizing it. That's why I can't wait to get you guys in the class. And yes, that do count for those. Yeah, that helps you with with the broadcasts that we do, because those long broadcasts we do 2-3 hours, it'll sum it up in 8-10 minutes. Now watch this. You can break it down in 16 minutes and then expand it to another 5 hours, a whole different way. It's asymmetric. It's symmetric. You can just train it. You train it to create asymmetric information and then repetition it to symmetric information. It's a learning tool. It's just got to be taught. You got to train it. The more you use it, it starts to learn what you want it to do. I'll give you this last one, then we'll go ahead and jump out. I was working in this space, and I asked ChatGPT to write me a mock arbitration case based on 2 sentences. After 10-15 minutes, it wrote me a 300-page novel off of 2 sentences. I had it make up a case, and then I had it make the made-up case relevant in real time. I have taken a hypothetical scenario that I wanted to see visually. I had it run a working model, diagrams, spreadsheets, whole 9 yards. Now, these are all fundamental things that everybody can do, but when you got your manuals in front of you, sky's the limit.
Artificial intelligence.
It's a tool. It's a tool. See, when you got the information, you just want help. You use it as a tool. Don't let it replace you. Don't just rely solely on it. Train it to assist you.
Right. You kind of give it, I feel give it an order.
You're dealing in the music industry, and you want to learn how to hypothecate. Can I say it? Yeah, I'll say it. All right. You work in the music industry, and you want to learn how to hypothecate an Article 9 security interest before your royalties come in. Draft it. Use the AI. It'll do it for you. It'll automate the action. We used to use a program called the Loyal Listener Program, which means my publishing company would pay subscribers to listen to the artist. We paid them $500 a month to listen to the artist. And that didn't come out of fiat or none of our pockets. It came out of the advertising dollars because it's all an algorithm. And that was before you guys had this type of technology. Imagine the possibilities. I know I got a big mouth. I can't keep it to myself. You ain't figured out. You haven't figured out yet that how is it you can apply for financial aid to go to school, even though the funds come in your name? The only reason why you're not getting it is because you haven't made a claim. I'm gonna say this slowly. Your student loan is nothing more than a promissory note. But the state and the federal government will give you funding because you're holding a note. So if you have to go and buy materials for this private education, you have to do certain things. This is considered continuing education. You have funding for that. I hope you guys, when you the three students that will come into the class, on top of having the $10 million instrument, they're going to gain access to a $35 billion network, and that network is individual platforms looking for somewhere to point their instrument. See, when you're dealing with 35 billion in a network, right? Everybody that don't have a trust, 12 million is a sweet spot. Everybody that have a platform, 250 million is a sweet spot. You see the variable. In order for you to manage 35 billion in asset, you have to stay within a $250 million net. If you run an entity that can be bonded and insured in the public and you net 12 million, you pay no taxes. You can teach the algorithm to do that. But that's enough for today. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Look, if you need to get at me, that's enough, man. See, I'm ready. I'm ready to run, man. I'm ready to run. I'm ready to run, man. Man, I'm trying. I'm trying. Help me.
Man, like that.
We have a that's why the first three in that space teaches the algorithm how to, because it's going to build testimonies from it. It's going to build it. There's 7 streams of income, and I'm just reiterating before we jump off what you got to have. So part of this class, if you only got 2 businesses, it's going to create you 5 more because you got to have at least minimally what? 7. 15 trusts, 7 streams of revenue. What's 7 times 15? What's 7 times 15? So just by working your own structure in-house, you're managing 105 different accounts. And every account, you're able to grow it like that penny that doubles on itself. You got 107, 105 ways to grow whatever you have in the first line. You put $1 in the first line, you put it in the second line, that dollar's $2. Third line, $4. So forth and so on. You got 105 times to do it. You just got to train the AI. But I digress. I appreciate everybody's time and energy. If you definitely want to get at me, you guys got my number. I will be here until about 7:30. I appreciate everybody's time and energy. Look forward to seeing you guys in the class. Peace and love, family. Peace and love.